talent.
I am labeling the note Lizzie Boys.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of explaining Warhammer Fantasy to my girlfriend.
What?
My name is Ava, and joining me, as always, is my lovely significant other, Kari.
Oh, it's me!
So this is technically take 3 of the fantasy video.
The secrets.
We have a bit of backstory behind that. Well, at least I do. I've been wanting to do a fantasy episode ever since we started this podcast a year ago. And I was like really excited, but I didn't know what to do because I was like, oh, what do we start with? There's so many cool factions, you know?
Yeah. And they all look cooler than the 40K factions.
It's true.
Controversial take.
Controversial take, but that's just because we're biased. We like fantasy a bit more.
Well, and they just factually look cooler.
Objectively. Get fucked, 40K fans.
No, 40K looks rad, but like...
Fantasy's cool.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
So I compiled like a general overview of the world, and I was like, oh, well, there's this faction, and this is how magic works, and here's like kind of the history, and blah, 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 blah. And we recorded it. It was like an hour, and we were like, okay.
And I was like, hypno-toad.
Yep. And so a day or two later, I was like, I don't know. This doesn't feel right. Let me add some more detail. Let me go into a bit more depth with this overview. So we recorded a second time, and it was even more in depth, more into the magic system, more into the factions and some of the characters and stuff. And then we ended it, and we were like, yeah, I feel a lot better about that. And a couple days passed, and I was like, no. There's something that like, I feel like I didn't get all of it down. And so I kept thinking to myself, like, why does this feel different? Why is this so hard for me to accept this is okay, this is a good episode? What made the 40K one work so well? And then it dawned on me. We started 40K technically where the story begins. With the Necrons. And so I thought to myself, well, duh, we gotta start the story at the beginning.
Yeah.
So today, we are talking about the Lizardmen.
Aww.
Welcome to the old world, my love. Before we delve straight into it, if you would like to support our show, head on over to patreon.com/numbskulls, where you can get access to a private Discord, bloopers, early episodes, submit questions to be read on the show, and much, much more. That is all over at patreon.com/numbskulls.
It's true.
We've also got new merch on the way. The Bones of Chaos are being made into high-quality posters, and we're releasing Fight Like a Girl, our first objective marker based around the Custodes. You can pre-order all of these right now, but shipping won't start until September 5th, so if you're watching this after the 5th, you can just grab them over at orchidate.com. Link on screen and in the description. Check it out. They look great. Hope you guys like them.
Yeah.
Also use code numbskulls at gamersubs.com for 10% off.
And get you some energy.
Get you some energy. And if you like what we do, leave a like, subscribe, comment, praise the algorithm. Thank you all so much.
Hi!
I have an intro for you today. It's a bit of a long one, and it's a little confusing, but it's kind of magic-y, so I think you'll like it.
Okay. Oh, I like magic.
Oh, yeah. Cue the moody music.
What?
All right. Shh. In the moments before the beginning, there was no time, no matter, and no dimension. Only the endless potential for these things. For in the absence of absolutely everything, absolutely anything becomes possible. And so it was that this endless potential realized its own existence, thus creating the universe and all the planes of existence that run parallel to it. As time and matter and dimension swelled in the physical womb of the realized, the potential continued to grow alongside them within the metaphysical womb of the still unrealized. Every new creation brought with it the possibility for growth and greater complexity of form and process. In time, creation realized unto itself life, and life in turn spawned perception, and following perception came consciousness, and with consciousness so followed intelligence, and from intelligence sprang conception, and from that came the words that bind all things into conception. And so the words made new conceptions, and new conceptions increased intelligence, and increased intelligence broadened consciousness, and broadened consciousness deepened perception, and this deepened perception came to know life more fully, and perception understood the form and process of all that was realized and came to permeate the raw potential of all that was yet unrealized. Within the endless potential of the unrealized, conceptions began to take their own form, and in time the great paradigms awakened, powers of the unrealized that spoke their own words, so glorious and so terrible. Now millennia have passed, and we speak our own words, words that marry the tongues of the mundane with tongues of those whose mystical insight teaches us of the gods of the world, of the mortal and immortal. And with them, we may sculpt the world to our will and the universe to our design. So it is, and so shall it be. Teclis of Ulthuan, translated into Reichspiel by Magister Vespasian Kant, Patriarch of the Order of Light. Welcome to the world of Warhammer, my love.
That felt like a meditation. I'm like super relaxed now.
Ah, nice. So, you're going to notice a couple things that are...
So God's real.
Gods in this world exist.
But like, there was a first God.
Or perhaps something like it.
Or like a non-God. This reminds me of the conversation that I've had a couple of times of like, you can very easily have science and like the idea of a God coexist.
Oh, yeah?
Well, just like...
You're going to like where this episode goes.
Just like, you know, the idea of like a big bang happening and like matter coming into being does not necessarily mean that wasn't a planned event in some way. Again, I think it's always an interesting conversation. But that's kind of what my mind went back to while you were
That's fair.
talking.
A lot of this episode is going to have echoes of familiarity.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with how we structured our first 40K video. So buckle up, relax. Enjoy yourself.
I'm chilling.
A long, long time ago.
Guys, sing it with me. You know the song. A long, long time ago.
Before men, before dwarves, before even the long-lived elves, there was a world covered in ice, where only the mightiest of beasts reigned supreme. Dragons flew across the skies. Mammoths stomped as great sky titans herded them to the mountains where trolls made their homes in the cave systems that expanded to the very deepest parts of the world. And one day, strangers descended from the very stars above, from where no one truly knows. They came down in ships of brilliantly shining silver, humming with powerful magical energy. The old ones had come.
So they came down.
They came down.
From where?
From space.
Up. From where?
They came from space.
They came from space.
So we have the old ones again.
They are aliens.
Yes, they are not of this world, perhaps even not of this dimension. But we do know one thing. They have one goal.
Right.
Eliminate chaos.
Oh.
So all we know is that there's this planet. The old ones are around, they just arrived, and chaos is real. It already exists. At the dawn of time, chaos already existed. Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, Tzeentch, they're all there.
Okay, so it's the chaos gods as we have seen them in 40K.
Yes. They are the same gods, despite this being a totally different universe. 40K and fantasy are not connected whatsoever. They may have been in earlier editions, but nowadays that is not the case. The old ones were excellent at both science and magic because to them they were one and the same. Some scholars say that they could have even had power over time itself. And some even say they may have been able to summon and bind ancient gods. That's how crazy we're talking.
Primals.
Yeah, we have the ability to summon a primal and trap it. Kind of like Ultimate Weapon. You know? We can like just lock it in a moon somewhere.
I was going to say, is that also like Bahamut? Or did they summon Bahamut?
The Allagans summoned Bahamut and then they put him in a moon.
Was the plan always to put him in a moon?
I think so. They wanted to use him as like a battery.
Yeah.
The old ones decided that this world had potential. And using their technology and magic fused together, they moved the planet closer to the sun, melting the ice, and the planet began to grow life from the seeds that they planted. They first created the beings known as the Slann to serve as advisors and guides to the newer races as part of the Great Plan.
So wait, sorry. It was the old ones that came from space, right?
The old ones came from space.
The old ones. Okay. What is the Great Plan?
I'd love to tell you in detail, but we don't know a lot about it.
They didn't write it down?
They kind of did, but the idea is We know it's some plan that they might have had to create the world as they believed it should be. But what that plan entailed, we don't exactly know. What exactly it means to have the planet become its full potential, also up to interpretation.
Closer to the sun.
Closer to the sun.
Which makes sense if we're calling these lizards. Well, okay, the old ones.
Yeah.
Are they lizardy?
We have no canonical idea of what they looked like. However, the things that they create are lizard-like, so we can assume that if these are beings that can create life, if they created that life, it would be somewhat in their image, right?
Potentially.
So we can assume, potentially, they are reptilian in some way, shape, or form.
Right. Well, then that would make sense with moving the planet because reptiles love a warm spot.
They love the warm spots.
We love a warm spot. It gives them energy and makes them feel cozy, which is the opposite of how I feel when I open my email. That fills me with dread and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we both get anxiety when we open emails and get
True.
phone calls and stuff like that. It's kind of frustrating to get that kind of anxiety when you're just checking messages and that kind of thing because those kinds of things are a requirement for life and work and can't really avoid them. And you know what makes that 10 times worse? The weird amount of spam that we all get, which makes that little inbox number get bigger and bigger. It used to be a real problem where we'd both be avoiding our emails, but since we found today's sponsor, Incogni, opening our emails doesn't seem quite as intimidating anymore.
Data brokers collect and sell your information to the highest bidder every day, and it can happen hundreds of times. Incogni searches what websites have your information and automatically requests your data to be removed. No more weird calls, no more spam mail, all at the push of a button. Incogni's dashboard even shows you where it's having your information removed from and how much time it saved you if you were to do this manually. To get your personal data off the internet and back into your own hands, go to incogni.com/numbskulls to get 60% off your purchase. Or click the link in the description or pinned comment. That's incogni.com/numbskulls. Thank you, Incogni.
Thanks, guys. I feared the email. No more.
Let's get back to the lizards. And also, considering it's a planet of nothing but ice, it's like, ooh, that's not so good for growing, plants. So let's just move it over here.
So why would they not just choose a planet that was closer to the sun? Or was there not one?
I don't know.
I guess, but wait, who knows?
Who knows?
For some reason, this planet...
It was part of the Great Plan.
And this planet is Terra?
This planet is called Malice.
Don't land there. Everything I've learned, that's gonna... What are the planets called that are like, don't freaking go to those planets?
Like Death World.
Death World? Don't go to Murder. Don't go to Malice. Don't go to... Dulky Prime.
Dulky Prime.
Don't go to Dulky.
No, don't go to there. I think Malice is a human name that is given to the planet later. Most of the time it's referred to the old world or just the world. So they created the Slann.
The Slann. Okay.
The Slann are frog priest mages.
Okay.
They are some of the most powerful mages in the setting, period. They can literally see magic.
Oh, they've got all their effects turned on.
It's true.
So they got good computers.
They've got good computers in their brain. They can see the magic because in the episode that we attempted to record, we described how magic in this world is almost like a wind, figuratively. And so they can literally see it like drifting.
Yeah. Would you say... I understand that the descriptor that's used in world is like a wind, like the winds of magic.
Because they are ever flowing.
Right. Would you say that that is different than 40K magic?
I would say yes, because 40K magic, I don't think it's ever been described as a wind. That's always been a thing with fantasy.
Right. Is there anything that you feel like has it been like physically described, like as like electricity? Or I know it's very psychic, so like thoughts and things.
In 40K.
Yeah, and then we've seen Necron magic. That looks a bit electric-y.
Yeah, I'd say it's very different because fantasy magic is much more in tune with the elements of the world rather than... You are right, I am thinking about it, and a lot of 40K magic is depicted as like mostly lightning bolts and so on and so forth like that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty common with magic.
It is pretty common. It's like your classic Palpatine, you know?
Yeah. Poor Windu. Out the window.
No!
Da, 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 da.
So, to emphasize how strong these frog Slann are.
Yeah.
An enemy wizard would be able to cast their most powerful spell, something that they have studied for an entire lifetime. They've got this one big powerful spell.
Zeta Flare.
And they cast it, and the Slan just waves its hand, and the spell is gone. They don't care.
Right. And this magic, you said it's more to do with nature.
To a degree, yeah.
Would you say it's to do with like the actual planet? Like I guess they were created on this planet.
They were also created by the old ones to like specifically be very powerful mages.
Yeah.
And because of this, they had special treatment from the old ones. They were the only race that was spoken to directly by them, and they are the only species that can understand the language and comprehend the great plan. They're the only ones that can do it. And because of this, they're a bit different. They can see magic. Time passes for them much faster than the other races. You know how in FF14, when we talk to a dragon at one point, they talk about like events that happened thousands of years ago to us, but to them, that was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like,
well, when you live for such a long time.
Exactly. They have to sort of go in slow motion when they're talking to another race that might not perceive time as well as they do, you know?
Right.
They can take decades to centuries making decisions or meditating. Oftentimes, the other Lizardmen will have to go up to a Slan to like wake them up if they really need them, because otherwise they're not going to move. They're just going to be sitting.
You taking a nap.
Well, no, they're going to be sitting in their chair, like contemplating, trying to decipher the great plan.
Oh.
Contemplating it for decades to centuries, trying to like understand it fully.
Oh, it's just 42.
That's the secret.
That's the secret.
Someone needs to tell them.
I mean,
because that Slan, he hasn't moved for 46 years.
Oh, no. He's going to get bed sores.
More like chair sores. They do like their floating chairs.
Yeah. So, okay. The floating chairs are cool.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the old ones just gave them those.
Yeah. They're also powered by magic.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The old ones then began creating the more well-known species of the settings. They helped uplift humans, dwarves, elves.
Oh.
And it was part of the Slan's job to guide these races when the time was right, teaching them magic and guiding them along the great plan.
Cool.
Yeah. The old ones, in their infinite wisdom and intelligence, could also foresee that other races might rise up and potentially hinder their plans, such as their ships accidentally brought around these green spores that started growing and started wawing around.
Uh-oh.
And crumping places. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
The British are here.
They're here.
They've got footballs.
So, to combat this, they created the Saurus. These are your warriors.
That's how you look up words.
The Saurus. These are your warriors.
Okay.
They are not as smart as Slan, but they are very good in physical combat. Where Slan are your powerful mages that don't want to get hit. These are your dudes who are going to be on the battlefield fighting. They're strong, they're tough, and they are fiercely loyal.
Cool.
Yeah. They also ride dinosaurs. Lizards riding dinosaurs that can cast magic and are from space.
Yeah, I'm into it.
I'm into it. I'm here.
It's good. It's just good.
Saurus are often born in groups that share the same markings and will have a strong, somewhat psychic bond between their siblings that make them terrifying on the battlefield. So, you know, they all have the same, like, you know how Kita has her banana spots?
Yeah.
If she was born in a Saurus group, they would have the same banana spots in the same places. Now, these groups of Saurus will also have an alpha, and should that alpha fall in battle, another will take their place should the other survive.
Interesting.
And usually they'll be more armored to show you that they are the alpha of the group, oftentimes with like a mask or like a fancy helmet or a fancy shield, yada, yada, yada. I also need to mention Lizardmen. Their entire vibe with their aesthetics is not just lizards and dinosaurs and stuff. It's also Mesoamerican, gold, everywhere. It's so awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm just interested in this sibling thing.
Yeah.
They're like lizards or dinosaurs.
Yeah, so they're in eggs.
So likely they are, born from eggs. It's just interesting that they would be almost exactly the same body, because the only time you really see something like that in nature is with identical twins, where it's literally the egg splits and becomes more than one egg, because like my sister and I have different DNA. There are obvious similarities in it. We do look pretty alike, but like we're not the same body structure.
Yeah. So what's interesting is like this clutch of eggs. There's like 5 of them at a time usually.
Which would
they'll
be
all
separate.
be born.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all separate, but they'll all be born at the same time, and they're all identical, and they all share this bond.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's really interesting. And like, I kind of like that from it's not super realistic, because it really goes into the idea of like, these are not naturally occurring creatures.
Yeah, there is something purposeful about them.
Yes.
What is that?
Don't worry about that right now.
The Great Waffle Iron.
We're gonna acknowledge that in a second. I have a quote here about the Saurus and how they behave in combat.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
I have scoured the coasts of 3 continents, yet in all my years of roaming, I have never fought anything like the cold-blooded men of Lustria. Their main troops, large bipedal man-lizards, are seemingly immune to pain, fighting long after foes with any sense would have fled. Time and again, I have seen them fight to the last, pausing only to tug crossbow bolts from their thick hides. Even in death, I have seen these creatures attack. In one case, a severed head continued snapping at us for 3 full days. And in another, the jaw, once clamped onto flesh, could not again be pried opened, but had to be cut away from the victim, a process none could survive. Vincenzo Corenzo, mercenary capitano out of Tilia.
Vincenzo Corenzo?
Yeah, that's a fun name, right?
That's a good name.
That's a good name.
Capitano Vincenzo Torenzo.
You have killed my father.
All right.
Yeah, so Saurus are super cool. They're like your mainline troop. Very tough. I love them.
Yeah, that sword means business.
That's a club.
That's a painy boy. That's no good time.
Yeah. Lizardmen are actually what kind of got me into Warhammer in general.
Fair.
Because a friend of mine was like, hey, try out this Warhammer game. It's called Total War Warhammer 2. And I was like, oh, that's like the Space Marine stuff. I don't like that. Whatever. I don't, whatever. And then he was like, let me buy it for you. We'll play it for a bit. If you don't like it, we can refund it, whatever. And I was like, okay. And we started up the game. And I was like, okay, there's like, people, there's men, there's an empire. What are these?
Little guys.
Lizard guys.
Little guys.
What are these lizard guys? And he was like, oh yeah, those are like lizard dudes. They're cool. And I was like, you didn't tell me about the lizard guys. These guys are sick as hell. And then I became a fan.
Cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded. The old ones then created more lizardmen to create giant temple cities that served not only as a home, but as magical reservoirs that would collect the world's magical winds. These temple cities would create something called the geomantic web that keeps the planet in line. Without the geomantic web, weather patterns would change dramatically, the continents would shift and crack and move, and the orbit of the Earth itself would revert back to where it once was. So keeping this geomantic web stable is important.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I really like the Lizardmen because it's almost like their unspoken responsibility to keep the world, like, okay.
Right. Yeah. In a way that works for them. And obviously, after a certain amount of time, whatever else develops on the planet.
Dwarves and elves and humans, all life, really.
Yeah.
The only thing that lived before this was, like, mammoths and dragons and giants and stuff.
Which, how are they doing with this sudden horrible change? They've caused global warming. And
they're
now
fine, mostly.
We're all stuck here.
Mostly.
Oh, Manny.
They're mostly fine. Like, dragons are chilling.
Right. Well, not anymore.
Well, there are still, like, cold places on the planet.
Yeah.
So they possibly went over there. Dragons oftentimes are like your European dragon. They live in the mountains.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Giants, trolls, all that kind of jazz. But yeah, these temple cities, super important magical reservoirs that keep the world in line.
Right.
In order to create these cities, the old ones first made the skinks.
Skinkies. Oh, look at him.
Architects and artisans that would oversee the construction of the temple cities. They're more intelligent than Saurus, but not quite as much as Slan, but they are very fragile. They're quick and nimble, and some can even use magic.
This is what I do when you bring home snacks and I'm trying not to look excited. He's like, oh.
It's good. Perhaps by design, the other Lizardmen love skinks.
Oh.
They can't get enough of them. They love these guys.
Oh.
They are diplomats, artisans, scribes. They are the general citizenry of Lizardman society.
Okay.
And if they were to, like, let's say, you know, Thanos snap, all the skinks are gone, Lizard society crumbles.
Right.
The skinks are holding it all together.
I mean, actually, it makes sense. Skinks are the most common type of lizard.
Mm-hmm.
They're like also the most diverse. I think it's like 25% of all lizard species are skinks.
Come from skinks? Oh, really?
Are skinks. Skink is a designation of a lizard. It means that they have a long body and like short legs.
Oh, I see.
But they're like hugely differentiated.
It's very diverse.
There are like skinks that don't have eyelids. There are skinks that do have eyelids. There are skinks that have like blue tongues.
Mm-hmm.
Some skinks lay eggs. Some skinks give live birth, like anacondas.
Huh.
And like there have actually been species of skinks that they've witnessed both.
Oh, interesting.
Which is crazy. There's a kind of skink that even has green blood because the pigment from bile gets into the blood.
Oh.
So I think it's like 1,500 types of skinks that we know of.
So much like real life, Warhammer skinks also are incredibly diverse, and we'll touch that in a second. Some of them are born different and are deemed special. Oftentimes they're albino, and they will serve as personal assistants to the Slan. So as you can see on this mini here, there's an albino skink like holding a bowl and something for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they're just like personal assistants. They take care of them, maybe massage them, maybe like, you know, they fan them, that kind of stuff. In combat, skinks are incredibly fast, they're sneaky, and they often use guerrilla tactics in the jungles.
Okay.
I have a quote that describes this perfectly. As soon as we were open, several men at the rear of our column were slain by arrows and javelins thrown by unseen enemies lurking among the tangled mangrove roots. Immediately gave the order to make a defensive formation. Suddenly, hundreds of the jade-colored lizards emerged from the undergrowth armed with vicious weapons. This time, luckily, their arrows fell harmlessly upon our lacquered tiger shields. We replied with our crossbows, slaying several of them before they scurried back to the trees. The jungles fell silent. Voyage of Yin Tuan to Lustria, circa 1690 Imperial Calendar. So a lot of their tactics are, as we just read, hit and run. Hit and run.
Right.
And you'll never see where they go.
Right.
Very sneaky. Usually you can also see them riding on top of Triceratops, Bastillodons.
Oh.
And oftentimes they have like these little platforms that allow them to shoot laser beams.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
I love lasers.
It's not just, Mesoamerican dinosaurs being ridden by lizards. They also have fucking lasers.
Orbital combat.
Yeah.
Yay!
Not only that, they also ride pterodactyls that drop bombs on people.
Damn.
It's awesome. So in a larger army format, the skinks will follow bigger Saurus, and the Saurus will like be in charge often. And they become much braver if led by a skink chief or a Saurus that really cares for the skinks. Or they can also just be naturally braver and tougher if they're born a red-crested skink, or can be stealthier if they are born as a chameleon skink. There's all sorts of skinks out there. And let me tell you, they're very fun to color.
Well, yeah.
And this is like a thing we'll talk about a little bit more as well, but like Lizardmen, them being magical and also just lizards, gives you a lot of opportunities to just be like, I'm gonna use the brightest colors I have.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reptiles out there that have brilliantly vibrant tones, like tokay geckos.
Right.
Geckos in general, honestly. Yeah, super, super cool.
Interesting.
Now, skinks didn't do the building. They were the architects. They planned all the stuff. They made the blueprints. They wrote stuff down.
Okay.
The ones that did the building were the kroq-gars.
Oh.
Flat fucks.
Big boy.
Big boys.
Not so flat right now.
No, they very lurchy.
He learned stand up.
I imagine if they sleep, though, they're like completely flat.
Oh, they do that thing where they stick their legs right back.
Yeah.
And then you can scratch them with a toothbrush.
Oh, I love it. I love alligators. I love crocodiles. Oh, they're so cute.
They are good.
Now, kroq-gars. These guys are tough. They're big, they're mean, and they're strong.
Okay.
But they're not very smart.
Okay.
By design, perhaps more than even the other Lizardmen, they obsess over skinks.
Aww.
They love these little guys. They can't get enough of them. They're in the crowds and they're like, I've got all my skink friends here. I love these skinks.
Aww.
They will do whatever a skink says. Like a skink will be like, can you get this from the store? The kroq-gar will be like, yes, I will.
Aww.
And he'll drag himself over there. He'll get the thing, bring it back to the skink, and the skink will be like, thank you, you know?
Aww.
In battle, skinks will surround them and they get like hyped up. They're like, yeah, we're with the kroq-gar. We're hype. And they'll fight better. And the kroq-gar is like, I must protect the little ones. And so he'll fight harder too. And so it's just this perfect synergy.
Aww.
It's awesome. I love it.
Aww.
They're so strong, they can rip a man in half.
Well, look at him.
They also do, in fact, bite people and then go into a death roll.
Well, again.
As they should.
Look at him.
Look at him. He's perfect.
He's built for it.
He's perfect. I love him.
He reminds me of, just because of his coloring, he reminds me of that shark thing. What's the shark? Battle sharks?
Street sharks?
Street sharks.
Jawsome.
With fucking Vin Diesel. Look at this.
So, as I mentioned, they're not very intelligent.
Right.
So after battles, you know, last enemy falls down.
Yeah.
And the kroq-gars will just drop their weapons and go back to building.
Okay.
They're very single-minded.
Right.
They're very focused.
They need to be assigned a job.
It's true. And they will do that job.
Right.
Problem.
Right.
The weapons they carry are extremely heavy.
Okay.
And the skinks can't carry them.
Oh.
So it got to a point where the skinks started making like these bracelets that would chain onto their weapons. So when they dropped them, they would just drag it.
No, that makes perfect sense. That's a solution.
So you don't have to go looking if there's another attack. It's like, oh no, where are the clubs? Like, they've got them.
Just give them a sheath of some kind.
Well, I don't know. They might not remember that the sheath is there.
Well, teach them. You said they'll do anything they're told. Just tell them.
Again, they're not very smart. They're your standard bruiser.
But I mean, it doesn't feel like it takes a lot of intelligence.
You would have to keep reminding them.
I mean, like, and I'm ADHD. I don't put anything back.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
they're fun, though. I love the kroq-gars.
They're very good.
Oh, so sometimes they'll be armed with clubs and, like, big swords and stuff. But sometimes they get punch gauntlets that are powered, again, by, like, magic.
They get iron knuckles.
Yeah, they get, like, iron knuckles that are powered by, like, heaven magic.
Oh.
And they just start punching things.
Crazy.
It's awesome.
So you were saying that they're like alligators or crocodiles, and the one on the right there looks more like an alligator, whereas the one in the middle looks more like a crocodile to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Which is just interesting because they're quite different animals.
It's like a select all.
Actually, fun fact, did you know there's only one place in the world that both crocodiles and alligators exist? Like in nature.
Interesting.
Can you guess where it is?
Florida?
Yep. In the Everglades.
Yep.
That is the only place on Earth that you can find both crocodiles and alligators.
Dude, I'm telling you, if the Lizardmen were in our world, they would love Florida. They would love that place.
They'd be having a great time. They would actually buy up the houses that are about to go underwater.
Well, no, they'd make their own. They would make their own ziggurats that would float in the sky using magic.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And it would go along with the Mesoamerican, I can't remember what it's called, but one of the things that allowed them to actually inhabit the like marshy lands of Southern America was that they built floating structures to like hold their buildings and things.
Oh, interesting.
So that they could have crops and stuff kind of out of the actual swamp.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah, and this was like a technology that they developed. It allowed them to settle somewhere that basically nobody else could settle.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of why they had so much land, because they were the only ones who figured out how to use it.
Huh. So, we're building temples.
We're doing it.
We're building these big cities. Everything's going great. In between all of this crafting and building and sometimes fighting, in case those green little mushrooms got a little angry, started going wah and coming by. The old ones were creating halflings and ogres. The Slan were teaching the elves magic and eventually the dwarves as well. But the dwarves, they didn't take to magic too well. They didn't like it very much. So they ended up creating something called rune magic.
Wait.
Which they, as craftsmen, preferred. Instead of I cast Thunderbolt, I have this little talisman that has a rune on it.
It does exactly the same thing.
It does exactly the same
but
thing.
But I hate you for doing it the other way.
The elves and the dwarves don't hate each other yet. Not at this point in time. They're like fine. They're neutral with each other. Everything on the world is peaceful and fine.
Neutral?
Everything's neutral. But something was wrong. Something stirred.
Okay.
To the north and south poles of the world, the Old Ones built 2 gates that transcended dimensions. They used these to traverse their vast empire that reached beyond the very stars. And one day, no one knows exactly how, the gates collapsed.
No.
And all hell broke loose. Literally.
Right.
Chaos began its invasion.
Okay. That's awkward.
First, the earth shook.
Uh-oh.
And where the gates fell, a great rift tore open the very fabric of reality.
Uh-oh. It's the second impact.
From this rift erupted solidified chaos magic, warp stone, that sailed through the skies, now lit with the fires of hell, landing in all parts of the world.
I'm imagining that, remember the shot that somebody got of the ducks looking up and seeing the meteor going over?
The earth continued to shake more violently than before, and from the north rose a second moon of pure green warp stone. As it rose, the planet screamed as beasts and man-things mutated under its foul light.
Oh.
Griffins, manticores, chimeras, all creatures of this nature were born under the light of more sleep.
Oh, shit.
Humans grew animal features,
oh.
horns, hooves, and the lust to kill and corrupt.
I hope they don't get taken out of the board game.
Why are you like this? Why do you make me feel pain?
You choose me every day.
I love you so much. But you hurt me! Now intelligent Ratman began burrowing and scheming in the dark of the underworld, all while demons swarmed from the great rifts and charged towards the young races. The elves and dwarves fought for their lives, while some tribes of men gave in to their invaders, birthing the first warriors of chaos, corrupted souls who would stop at nothing to see this world burn. As the gates crumbled, the old ones vanished.
Uh-oh.
Where or what happened to them is a mystery to all, even the Lizardmen. The laughter of 4 chaos gods rang in the ears of all mortals, driving some to the brink of insanity.
Oh, this is not good.
Acting quickly, the Slann gathered, uniting their magical power to seal the rifts shut. But the power of chaos was overwhelming, and half the Slann race was killed. Their brains melted from the immense effort. For their sacrifice, they managed to shrink the rifts, but not enough to stop the eruption of magic coming through or the hordes of demons that came with them.
This guy, this is what I look like when I'm trying to find the word.
It's true. For the next few thousand years, the Lizardmen fought back against the forces of chaos with ferocious efficiency. They were made to do this. They proved to be incorruptible by the dark gods. And for every Saurus, skink, or kroq-gar that was lost, a dozen demons would fall. However, each battle brought forth more death to the Slann. Their numbers dwindling, the Lizardmen fought more defensively to protect their leaders as chaos pushed towards the center of Lustria. More bodies fell each day, and after every battle, each defense was more bloody than the last. Temple City after Temple City fell, the great ziggurats falling, and the geomantic web weakening. The world became more unstable by the hour. But nothing was as important as the defense of Itza, first and greatest of temple cities, defended by Lord Kroq, first of the Slann, and the mightiest raid.
I'm sorry, Lord Kroq?
Lord Kroq.
Lord Kroq?
He's the first of the Slann and the mightiest mage in the world. He's the best mage in the setting. One of, if not the best. Lord Kroq. He's a big frog. Lord Kroq.
Lord Kroq?
Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah, Lord Kroq. Okay, I'm caught up. I'm Lord Kroq.
Lord Kroq.
Lord Kroq.
The defense of Itza. Demons of all shapes and sizes slammed against the magical barrier that surrounded the city. Lord Kroq needed more time. He needed to focus all his energy into this last spell. He exploded the barrier protecting the city, killing 100,000 demons in a single strike and wiping out the surrounding jungle. The rest of the horde charged into the streets. Saurus temple guards, skinks of all types, and sacred kroq-gar stood in defense. This was the battle that mattered the most, the final temple city. If they failed here, chaos would destroy the world. Every moment counted. The Lizardmen stood firm as the demonic horde swarmed towards them. Kroq recited every incantation from memory perfectly. The magic of the geomantic web surrounded him like a vortex. He just needed more time.
To all of our hatchlings,
It's the end of the world.
Veins, blood runs cold.
The guard fought to their last, taking a great amount of the demons with them before being completely wiped out. But just as the enemy began advancing, the moment had come. Kroq unleashed his spells, and pure light from the heavens rained down on the demons with such power that the fabric of the universe strained to stay together.
Please don't tell me he makes a spelling mistake.
No, only 12 bloodthirsters survived. Protected by the dark god Khorne himself, they charged up to the temple, shrugging off each of his spells, and tore Kroq apart.
What? No! No! He croaks!
Lord Kroq croaks. Do that again with less speaking.
No!
I'm sorry.
What is fun?
However,
I hate Khorne. He's such a bitch.
Lord Kroq was not finished.
He didn't croak.
He had taken in so much magical energy that he was now a spirit and refused death to hinder his plans.
He's becoming one with the Force.
A divine light that was brighter than the sun itself enveloped the entire city.
Zeta flare.
And the entire army of demons was slain. Itza was saved.
That's my fucking god.
Tactical fucking nuke.
He did not make a spelling mistake.
What's that? You killed me? Yeah, whatever. I'm still casting.
I'm sorry. Meteor on your ass.
What are you gonna do?
Get riggedy rocked.
Get wrecked, idiot. Kroq's body was collected by his skink attendants, wrapped in resin-soaked wrappings, and then mummified. However, Kroq's spirit still lingers, awaiting when he needs to be reawakened to enact the great plan once again. So yeah, whenever they need Lord Kroq because shit's getting bad, they just, like, wake him up. Why do you look upset? What's wrong? He's still alive. He's okay.
I'm crying.
No, he's okay.
No!
He died and he was like, death is cringe. Let me just...
He gave everything!
But he's still alive. It's okay. His spirit is still with us. Like, literally, he's still alive. He's just, like, hanging out in space. And whenever he needs, like, to help, he goes back into his body. So here's his mini.
Wait, his mummified body?
Yeah.
He imhoteps?
And he's just sitting on his magical chair, and he goes into battle.
And he rehydrates.
And he tactical nukes everything. And he's like, my job here is done. And he goes and vibes in space for a while again. Kroq is awesome.
Man, okay, so the kroq-gars leave behind their weapons. This guy just ditches his body when he's done. He's
like, I'm out. See ya.
Interesting.
So this actually started a tradition among the Salon as well, where like the ones that get like really magically in tune with everything, they become these sort of mummified spirits that can come back. But none can compare to Lord Kroq.
Well, that is a general statement about everything.
None can compare to Lord Kroq.
None can compare to Lord Kroq.
It's true.
That is simply how it is.
It's true. He's awesome. Kroq?
Like I am.
That's my guy.
You know what? Screw, what's his name? Mr. Toad. I want Kroq's wild ride. And you just leave your body.
What's really cool is in Total War Warhammer, when you get Lord Kroq, because for most characters, it's like a big event. It's like, you can unlock Lord Kroq. And you're like, oh shit.
Oh my gosh. Gramps.
And so when you get him, he is the best mage you could ever possibly hope for. His spells are insane because, like I said, they're like tactical nukes. But the best part about them, they don't hurt your allies. So the entire game plan, your jaw just dropped. Your entire game plan is like swarm the enemy, get them into a ball, and Lord Kroq is just like, watch this.
I need this guy because I don't understand friendly fire. It's very hard for me.
Kroq is awesome. He's so fucking badass. To wrap up our story. Oh, sorry. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I'm just like admiring his croaky goodness.
He's good. He's so good.
I like Lord Kroq.
The battle against chaos continued with the other races of the world, but that's a story that will continue another day. Lizardmen today continue the battle against chaos, but the Slann mages can only remember fragments of the Old One's great plan. So the Lizardmen search for tablets, ancient temples, or anything that might guide them to what their ancient creators intended. So they are searching for pieces.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
These Slann, like Slaanesh.
Kinda, yeah. The frog people.
The frog. Well,
Slann.
I would say toad.
Toad people.
They were created by the Old Ones.
Yeah.
They live a very long time.
Yeah.
Can they reproduce?
I don't think so.
Or is it just a case of we have what we have?
I think it's we have what we have.
Yeah. And it's like, well, the old ones were around. They might make more.
Yeah.
But since they're gone, it's like...
Yeah. The way it was, and the way it kind of is with Lizardmen, is they have spawnings. They are born in like groups, like massive groups.
Yeah, like clusters of eggs and stuff.
Yeah, but like on a wide scale, like it's not just the Saurus, it's like all of them.
Right.
Yeah. But the Slann, as far as I know, and I could totally be wrong on this, the Slann cannot be reproduced because they were directly influenced by the Old Ones. So the idea is that they're slowly dwindling, and so we have to protect them.
Yeah, they're very important.
Yeah, and so Lizardmen will fight fiercely to keep them around.
Yeah. The idea of this, what did you say it was called? The spawnings?
Yeah.
That reminds me of in Dinotopia.
Yeah.
Remember there was the place where like all the eggs were hatched?
It's kind of like that. They keep them like safe in the temple cities.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a similar aesthetic.
And then if they're born like albino or like special or something, then they're like blessed.
Or leucistic.
Like Kita. Then they will like be deemed blessed or special.
Okay, so it's like a good thing to be of a different morph.
Oh, it's very good. The way that they reason is that you've like literally been touched by the blessing of the Old Ones.
Kissed by fire.
Yeah. Kissed by leucistic.
Kissed by no color.
So their modern day society is we hate chaos. We want to get rid of chaos.
Right.
We have to remember the great plan. And the Slann are like, it's been like 1 billion years. I can't remember it.
Oh, no.
And then the skink will like bring up a tablet one day that says like, here's a hint. And the Slann will contemplate it for a couple decades. And then another skink will bring up a different tablet. And they both say completely different things. One says, hey, we should take over the North. And then another one will say, actually, we should take over the South. And so they have to like contemplate like, what's the right path? Oh no.
Could they have like a congregation?
Even if.
And all get together and compare their little tablets.
Even if that were the case, it still would be almost nonsensical. Oftentimes, the tablets and the great plan itself is contradictory. And not only that, chaos does mess with them.
I was gonna say, I bet Tzeentch is out there making other tablets.
Oh, they fuck with them so much. Because they can't corrupt them. They can't make like a chaos champion kroq-gar. Like that, they can't.
But they can put like a little arrow into the note and write, don't go to the north. Like they're just doing that thing that you see in cartoons where there's like an arrow sign and they just
literally
turn it
it's Kronk going like, by all accounts, it doesn't make any sense.
Wrong lever.
So sometimes they'll like declare war on a human faction and they'll be at war with them for years. And then a Slann will like go out of meditation and be like, actually, this isn't part of the great plan. And the Lizardmen will be fighting it and they'll be like, nah, you're chill. And then they'll just go back to where they came from. It's like kind of scary.
Oh no.
Because one day they'll be super chill and the next day they'll be like, oh, my frog mage friend told me that you're not required for the great plan. We got to get rid of you, friendo. Oh!
Didn't this happen in Overlord?
The anime? Oh.
Yeah. Isn't there an arc where there's like a village of lizard people?
Yeah.
I didn't get that far.
No, it's cool. I like the Lizardmen in Overlord. I like them a lot. Another note about Lizardmen is you should never invade their lands.
I mean, if you go to Florida...
Don't go into the jungle.
Yeah.
Because the jungle doesn't want you here. Get out.
Right. They made a whole movie about that with Daniel Radcliffe.
Shall we talk about some notable Lizardman characters?
Yeah. Although we already did.
Yeah, we already did Lord Kroq.
And I'm like super. Oh, more Kroq!
It's just
dying is cringe. This guy's got it.
We've definitely talked enough about Lord Kroq. He's super cool. By far one of the best Lizardman characters ever.
Love him.
But we have another Slan mage to talk about.
Okay.
Mazdamundi.
Oh, I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, he's sort of the leader of the Lizardmen.
Wait, I can't spell that on my own. Mazdamundi. So far, my notes are like old ones came from space, created Slan, toad people, can they mate, and then Lord Kroq with a bunch of hearts around it.
Awesome. Mazdamundi is the current leader of the Lizardmen. He was named the direct successor by Lord Kroq himself.
The direct successor of Lord Kroq?
Yeah.
So Lord Kroq was like top dog.
He was the leader.
Okay.
That's why he was in the final city. He was in the first city, and he was the first Slan.
Right.
It's his city.
Yeah, he was Archmage.
Yes. Because Lord Kroq was the first Slan ever, I think Mazdamundi was technically like a different spawning. So Lord Kroq kind of raised him and like taught him everything he knows about magic.
Aww.
Weirdly, Mazdamundi is different from the other Slan because he's very active. He doesn't meditate. He doesn't contemplate all that much. Most of the other Slan are pretty sleepy, like to the point where they have like moss and stuff growing on them, like vines and stuff, because they haven't moved in like a century.
Right.
But even then, like the skinks are taking care of them. Like they're like making sure they're okay, making sure they're alive.
Yeah.
It would really suck to be a skink and like check up on your Slan one day and be like, oh, he's sleeping. And then you check up on him, he's like, he's not breathing. No!
My lord.
They're poking him with a stick. No!
My lord.
Mazdamundi's cool because he rides on a giant triceratops named Zlok.
Cool.
Zlok also has an orbital laser.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
One time, a human settlement was built on the coast of Lustria.
Okay.
And Mazdamundi was disturbed from his contemplations of the Great Plan. He ordered it destroyed and went back to contemplating. And again, a couple years later, the settlement was built. Mazdamundi woke up and ordered it destroyed. Once again, the settlement was built, disturbing the mighty Slan. And once again, he ordered it destroyed. And on the fourth attempt of the settlement being built, he caused an earthquake in the area. And eventually that was the hint the humans took of like, maybe we shouldn't settle here anymore.
That's like billionaire energy. He's like, you're blocking my view, guys.
Please.
Move your civilization. It also reminds me of that story of the Navy guy who, rather than moving slightly to get out of the sun, like changed the course of his Navy ship so that it wasn't in his face.
Mazdamundi has an interesting belief.
Okay.
He believes the Lizardmen cannot complete the Great Plan because they have failed to even do the first step, and it will not progress until this first step is accomplished.
Okay.
The eradication of all races that are not part of the Great Plan.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's kind of a psycho.
This isn't my Lord Kroq.
No, Kroq would never. Kroq is vibing in space. He's vibing.
Who is this guy?
This is Mazdamundi.
This is nepotism incarnate. This is why you gotta have, like, a democracy.
Mazdamundi, the Nepo baby.
Oh.
When you start as Mazdamundi in Total War, he starts with a negative relation with every faction.
Well, obviously.
No one fucking likes him because he's like, you should die. And it's like, Mazda, shut up! Shut up!
He comes in, he's like, my people.
Like,
but you're only like a 14th of a person. You don't even matter.
Whatever, Mazdamundi. Get out of here. No one likes you. Go back to riding your Triceratops. Our next character to talk about is gor-rok, the Great White Lizard.
Oh, not the Great White Orc.
No, the Great White Lizard.
With the orc and that was a whole thing.
No, that was a weird decision that they did.
Hated that.
Why?
Why?
Peter?
He's like the same shade, though.
Yeah, gor-rok is an unkillable Saurus who doesn't seem to feel pain.
Wait, okay. Unkillable.
He is an albino, which as we talked about in Lizard Society, means you have been blessed by the old ones.
Aw.
And he has never lost a battle. So what's so funny about gor-rok is he doesn't feel pain. So he'll like go out by himself to destroy an army, and he'll come back and he's looking like Boromir. He's got like 40 arrows in his back, and they're like, gor-rok, are you good, bro? And he's like, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm good.
He's like,
dude,
I can't not be.
I'm great. I'm good to go. And they're like, are you sure? Don't you want to rest? He's like, no, man, I'm good. What's the next job? Let's go, man. Because of this, he's treated very nicely.
Wow.
And he has like a bunch of skinks whenever he's not in battle, like taking care of his every need. He's got like his own house. And he's just like chilling, living like a king. He is a one lizard army. He's awesome. I love gor-rok. To be as lore accurate as possible in Total War, if you just select him by himself, send him into an army, he won't kill a whole lot. It takes him a while to kill like a bunch of things because he's just got a club and a shield.
Yeah.
He won't die though.
Right.
He'll just like, you know, I have at points told him to go destroy an entire army and then left to go make and eat lunch and have come back and like he's at 99% health and he's just still going. I'm like, oh yeah, gor-rok, you get it.
He's working on it.
It's awesome.
So do we know if he actually is like immortal, like unkillable, or like if you chopped his head off, would he die?
He would die if you chopped his head off, but good luck doing that.
Right.
He is unkillable in that is his status. That's his legendary feat of like he's never lost ever. He's unkillable.
Right. He hasn't died yet.
Exactly.
I could be unkillable.
I love gor-rok. He's so cool. I love that he's like vaguely Triceratops looking. Very cool. I love him.
But, like, if he gets injured, he does get injured, right? Because there are, like, arrows sticking out of him.
Oh, yeah. He gets injured. He gets scarred all the time, but, like, he heals. He just tanks it.
Yeah, but, like, I guess, does he heal to the point of, like, what if somebody cut off his leg?
Well, that's never happened.
I guess that's exactly it. It's like, we don't know.
But, like, if I went up to gor-rok and then I cut him and, like, you know, across his chest, he'd be like, that's cute, and then hit me with his club, and I would die.
Yeah, right.
Like, he just doesn't seem to feel pain, and so he'll just come back and just be like, what's up? I'm ready to go. And they're like, you should rest, gor-rok.
He's a warrior of light.
He is a warrior of light.
He's got the blessing of Hydaelyn or something.
Our next source character is kroq-gar, the last defender of Shoutout. Zodal.
Lotl? Like axolotl?
Something. X-H-O-T-L. I don't know how to pronounce it. But the point is, during the Chaos Wars, the Great Catastrophe, as it's sometimes called, the war with chaos, it has many names. He defended his temple city, defeating hundreds upon thousands of demons. It's just him and his, like, brothers, siblings, right?
Right.
It's just him and them. And they're just, like, going to town. And eventually, the Slann who was in charge of this city, the barrier protecting the city, it goes down.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the demons manifested inside of the room and managed to kill the Slann before kroq-gar could save them.
No.
So he and his lizard siblings fought their way out of the city. And for the next 100 years or so, continued the fight, just this little squad, until only he and his beloved Carnosaur named Grimlock were left.
Aw.
I really like the naming scheme of Lizardmen.
They're Grimlocked in battle.
Do you know the reference?
They have to kroq-guard the city.
Yeah. Do you know the reference of the Grimlock?
It sounds familiar.
It's a transformer. It's a transformer that turns into a dinosaur.
Oh!
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
Grimlock, the T-Rex. It's awesome.
Yeah, fair. Good.
Mazdamundi.
Oh, that guy.
Eventually got wind that kroq-gar was alive.
Right.
And so he summoned him once the great catastrophe was over and the world was saved. And for his service, gifted him a gauntlet called the Hand of the Gods that shoots laser beams out of it.
Love lasers.
Love lasers. So kroq-gar has this like magic spear and a magic hand that shoots light. And it's awesome, and he rides a dinosaur, and it's so fucking cool.
This guy's doing everything I want to be doing.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Why do you get to do cool things?
This Harry Dresden over here.
Also, as part of this, Mazdamundi made kroq-gar head of the army. So he's like the general, lord commander, that kind of thing.
Cool.
It's also rumored that the spear that he wields was once held by an old one named Tlansla.
Oh.
Tlansla. I'm sorry. I'm probably butchering this, and someone's yelling at me in the comments right now. Tlansla. Anyway, it was an old one.
Are you sure it wasn't a Primarch?
It's funny you say that, because we talked about Leman Russ last time.
Yeah.
The Spear of Russ. We talked about how much he hated it. And the reason why is because it gave him bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
Bad vibes. And anyone who is hit by it sees their future.
Right.
This spear does the exact same thing. It's not the same spear, but as we go through this series, you're looking real suspicious. As we go through this series, you're going to notice that names and events, especially names, are very familiar. For example, there is a Magnus in Warhammer 40k. There is also a Magnus in Warhammer Fantasy. That kind of stuff, right? It's all familiar.
There's also a Magnus in the City of Bones.
Oh, interesting.
Random book.
Our next character is a skink.
Oh, you can see him?
Oxyotl, he who is unseen.
Oh, but he's right there.
Oxyotl is a chameleon skink who, in a freak accident while defending his temple city, was accidentally sent into the realm of chaos.
Oh, no.
This accident was caused because the Slann that he was protecting was trying to cast a spell, and I'm guessing Tzeentch came by and was like, it would be really, really funny if I miscast this. And so he did.
Right.
Oxyotl then ended up in the realm of chaos along with whoever else was in the room, and immediately demons set about them. Now, because he's a chameleon skink, he was able to hide.
Okay.
And so he began surviving in these chaos wastes, relying on stealth, and eventually began hunting demons that pursued him. The vibe I get with Oxyotl is like, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me.
I see.
He absolutely went to town on these demons. Like, he became really good at hunting them, so a lot of people call him, like, the Lizardman Doom guy.
Oh.
So he's just, like, all around, you know, killing demons left and right, and they're like, how do we stop him? He won't go down!
Right.
While in these chaos wastes, Oxyotl saw a lot of dark visions of the future. What could be, what might happen, and what would happen if the world was taken over by chaos.
No, you gotta do it. You gotta pour water and be like, what has been,
what will be,
what is, and what might yet come to pass.
Yes. Eventually, while traversing the realms of chaos, he found a way back to Lustria.
Oh.
And wanting to go home, he took it in an instant. And much to his dismay, 7,000 years had passed. Much like the warp, in the realm of chaos, time is real wibbly wobbly.
Right. Well, that's gonna be disorienting.
He tried his best to integrate himself back into Lizardman society, but the other Lizardmen got a real bad vibe from him. And whenever they asked, like, hey, you were in the chaos waste, what happened with that? He was like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to remember it. And some Slann were like, oh, maybe I should read his mind to, like, see what he did. And the other Slann would be like, no, what if he's tainted by chaos? No, you're right. So Oxyotl kind of became isolated. But since then, he decided, okay, I can't go back to society.
Right.
I'm going back to the realm of chaos.
Uh-oh.
And so he has gone back to the chaos wastes and now just hunts demons.
Wait, how to get back in?
Let me rephrase this. Sorry, you stun-locked me.
Sorry. I'm assuming it's like the Barbie world where you just take the same route that you took, but the opposite direction.
So, important distinction. Sorry, I should have clarified this. The realm of chaos and the chaos wastes are not the same thing.
Oh, okay.
The realm of chaos is like where the chaos gods live. It's the warp, it's, you know, whatever. The chaos wastes are the north and south poles. It's where on a map you would write, here be demons.
Oh. That's the only place that you can't find skink.
Well, you can find Oxyotl there.
At least the South Pole.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to know something really great about Oxyotl?
Okay.
He uses like blowpipes that he like infuses with like fire and like anti-demon magic and shit like that. It's awesome.
Oh, cool.
And he uses a weapon called the Golden Blowpipe of Patui.
Hawk Patui!
It's fucking awesome. I love Lizardmen. I love them so much.
Good.
We have one more character to talk about, my love.
Okay.
We have gone through Slann. We've gone through Saurus. We have gone through Skinks. It's time
now
for
let's talk about Kroq again.
Kroq again. No, Kroq once more. We're back, baby. We're so back. Nakai the Wanderer, an ancient, extremely tough kroq-gar that was present during the defense of Itza in the final days of the Chaos Wars. Nakai's really weird because whenever he's needed, let's say demons are invading, maybe some humans are tearing down the forests of Lustria, the jungles, and, you know, generally being annoying, he just seems to appear out of the jungle. And as quickly as he arrives, the moment the battle is done, he's gone again. Because of this, he has been literally all over the world. He can like forest walk.
Okay.
Whenever there's like a threat, he just arrives. And so this has gained him the title the Wanderer. Once upon a time, he got splashed with a bunch of Skaven diseases. Skaven are the rat men.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of diseases and they like threw it onto him and he was like, eh! And he fell into a coma. And so for a couple months, a bunch of skinks like took care of him and like tried to bring down his fever. And they were like, oh no, Nakai, no. And the moment the fever broke, his like eyes opened and he just pieced out, like walked into the woods. And the skinks like tried to follow him, but there was nothing. It was like he was never there.
Interesting.
He has a really unique club. And some say that that weapon has the spirit of an old one in it. And Nakai has become the instrument of their will. Because Nakai is like crazy strong. Kroq-gars, we talked about how they're not very smart. Nakai is weirdly smart.
Right.
So maybe that has some credence to it. Who knows?
Who knows?
But where there is danger to the world or to the Lizardmen in general, Nakai will appear and then he's just gone again.
Where was he when Kroq was getting torn apart?
He was probably fighting like a billion demons by himself. Dude is tough as hell.
Well, he should have reprioritized. Just kidding.
Listen, Kroq had this.
Right. So he almost kind of exists as like a guardian spirit.
Yeah, he's like the guardian of the jungle.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I love him.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
This one guy down here is like, look at him.
I'm your biggest fan.
I can't believe he's here.
Is the guy.
Can I get your autograph after?
But my love, that closes our first chapter into the Lizardmen. How do you like them?
Oh, they seem cool.
They're awesome, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not like any books or novels that are like focused around Lizardmen. A lot of information comes from like their army books, but there's not like a book that you'll read that's like, I woke up and I am a skink and I went to the market today and blah. You're not really going to get that. They're very mysterious in how they're treated.
Right.
A note, if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, Lizardmen sound awesome. I want some models of Lizardmen. Number one, they are some of the most gorgeous models Games Workshop has ever created, but they are not called Lizardmen anymore. It's the same faction, but they are called Seraphon now. Seraphon. Seraphon. So if you want to look that up, take a look at their minis. I'm sure I'm going to have them on screen now. They are gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you can paint them in so many different ways. Like, I want to get a bunch of Seraphon and paint them after Monster Hunter monsters. You, what's the blue Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah, Jurassic World, but
yeah, Jurassic World. Like, use that as inspiration, you know? Just look up colorful reptiles and you'll see like a plethora of inspirations. Like even something as simple as like a leopard gecko. Like that's gorgeous. That would look amazing on one of these minis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're super cool. God, I love them. I love them so much.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. But how did you like them?
I think they're cool. I mean, I love
these Zords.
Reptiles and amphibians and all those funny little guys.
Yeah.
I think they're super cool. And I think a lot of the time they're very misunderstood.
Yeah, I would say Seraphon, Lizardmen, they're pretty simple and just, we don't like evil chaos. And stay the hell out of my jungle.
Yeah.
Don't tread on my land, bro.
They're territorial. No, they seem cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Obviously very fun to paint and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I guess they do have like magic and stuff depending on the unit.
Oh, yeah. So if you have like, there's skink priests and there's like Slan. Those are your magic casters.
Right.
And the rest of your forces are like kroq-gars, who you usually, as we've learned today, want to pair up with skinks.
Yeah.
And you've got your Saurus, and your Saurus are really good at being like everything, really.
Right.
You've got your Saurus riding on dinosaurs, so on and so forth. You could do a lot with a Lizardman army.
Right. Yeah.
You can have oops all dinos, oops all big dinos, you know? Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
You got pterodactyls, Spinosaurus even, but they're not called Spinosaurus. They're called like a troglodon, and they don't have eyes, weirdly enough. They like rely on their sense of smell.
Oh.
Let me show you a troglodon.
Interesting. Whoa.
Yeah, this model's cool, right?
Wow. Weird. Yeah.
They also like spit acid. They're cool. I like them.
Cool.
Yeah. Ah, Lizardmen are so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I want them. I want them all. Oh, man. But yeah, that's pretty much all the lore stuff I really have with you. They're not like super complicated in their motivations. They're pretty cool unit-wise, and they're pretty strong on the tabletop as well. Like, you've got a lot going for you. One thing I should mention, they do revere the old ones as their gods. And like, they have a bunch of names for them as well. And they'll like, as you might imagine with the Mesoamerican theme, they do sacrifice people in the name of their gods.
Right.
As you might imagine. Usually it's trespassers.
Fair enough.
You came into my woods, well, get his ass to the ziggurat.
To Shibalba.
Put him up there now!
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions, my love?
So, the old one.
Yes.
Is this like the same kind of thing as the Necron old one?
It's the same vibe. It's unclear whether they are like the same people.
Beings.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I mentioned, Warhammer Fantasy and 40K. In earlier editions, it was somewhat implied that they were the same setting. Nowadays, that's not the case. They're very separate. It used to either be the idea was Warhammer Fantasy is a planet that's locked off by the warp.
Yeah.
And so Space Marines can't go there or anything. Or a more fun idea is that Warhammer 40K takes place entirely inside of a snow globe in a wizard's tower somewhere in the world of Warhammer. That's funny. I think that's cute. But yeah, no, it's very separate. So whether or not they're the same beings, I don't know. We do know the Chaos Gods are the same, but not exactly, because like we're not gonna get Slaaneish's birth, right?
Right.
Slaanesh already exists. She existed at the dawn of time, along with Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and however other many chaos gods there are, or chaos-aligned demons, you know? But what's cool is that the demons do exist in both settings, because like one day Skarbrand could be hanging around in Warhammer Fantasy fighting a bunch of knights on horses and stuff, and he gets defeated, and then someone in 40K foolishly summons Skarbrand, and he's like, bah! And that's how you get a lot of cool interactions of like things that don't or shouldn't exist in the same world.
Right.
So you could have a demon that has like a chainsword running around in fantasy, you know?
Yeah.
Cool ideas. I love that demons feel like they are otherworldly because it's just the same thing. And that's really cool to me.
Yeah. It's just like a dimension difference.
Yeah, they're just hopping.
Yeah.
And whenever they're not hopping, they're just like chilling in the immaterium.
Chilling in non-existence.
They're hanging with Kroq, and Kroq is like, I don't want to hang out with you. Get away from me. Be
Kroq
gone.
is like, please get out of my
Be
room.
gone.
Get out of my void.
Ugh, this is mine.
I'm contemplating. That's Kroq. He's contemplating. I noticed that, and this isn't very much a surprise, not all that accurate to like actual living reptile things.
No.
Pretty different.
No. They are very clearly like fantasy creatures.
Yeah.
They're very clearly like...
It's kind of like comparing Tyranids to bugs.
Exactly. You could paint them to be like their real world counterparts. I guess Tyranids don't really have a real world counterpart, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If I painted a chameleon skink like a real chameleon, you would be like, oh, that's a chameleon.
How is it changing colors?
Oh, that'd be cool. Oh!
There are like nail polishes that change color under like UV light or like when they get heated. So like when you wash your hands under like warm water, your nails change
so
color
cool.
and stuff. Yeah, that would be really cool.
I really want a Seraphon Force. I think they're so cool. Like I already...
A Seraphorce?
A Seraphorce. I already have a bunch of Chaos Space Marines, and those are fun. Don't get me wrong. And I do want a big force. Like, I think what I'm really going to collect is Chaos Warriors for Age of Sigmar.
Right.
But I also really want to collect the lizard guys. Like, they're so cool.
Yeah.
And again, this is like really what got me like hooked on fantasy. It's just like, what do you mean there's lizards that are magical and have laser beams and ride dinosaurs? Are you kidding me? Why was this not the fucking elevator pitch?
Yeah, no,
Straight men are so bad at explaining things.
They don't know what they're... Why can't they just start with the cool stuff?
You think I give a shit about Fuckface McGee and his, like, human army? I don't care. And if you do care about that...
I have to talk about men in my real life.
And if you do care about that, that's totally valid. That's fine. That can be your thing. But me...
But look at these
the lizard.
Think about Kroq,
Think about Kroq. You got it. Kroq, He's got to be in the pitch.
Oh.
You got to be like, this is a frog who said dying is cringe and then came back.
It's true.
What a guy.
What a guy.
What a frog. What
Imagine.
a toad. Oh my God.
Not a frog. Definitely not a frog. Do you know the difference between toads and frogs?
Toads are typically bigger.
Typically.
They have lots of warts.
No.
Oh, they don't?
They don't have warts. No, they're like bumpy. They do have like bumps.
That might be what I'm thinking
And oftentimes those bumps are like filled with like a substance that makes them very like bitter. So if you were to chomp down on one, it would taste bad.
Oh.
And it causes irritation to human skin a lot of the time, which is why you get that idea that they give people warts. Because you would get irritated skin.
I see. Okay.
So frogs live in the water, toads live on land.
Oh.
Toads have short legs. Frogs have long legs for swimming. Frogs have webbed feet.
Oh.
Toads don't.
Huh. I guess I just never really looked at like a difference between them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cute. They're all very cute.
Like frogs lay their eggs in like big clusters and toads lay them in like, it almost looks like a pearl necklace. It's like a big line of eggs.
Huh.
They are like similar. Like they're both Anura, which means that they don't have tails, even though they both start as tadpoles where they have tails, but then they lose the tail. And they do this weird thing. If you actually watch them eat, they actually use their eyes to swallow their food.
Oh, I did know about that.
Yeah, they like literally push their eyeballs back and it helps push the food down their throat. It's super weird.
I wonder if you got a Slan model before you base coated it, like primer and stuff like that. I wonder if to simulate the bumpy skin of a toad, you might use like a texture paste.
Yeah.
And like put it in selected areas. That would look really cool, I think.
You totally
If you
could.
wanted it to look a little more realistic. I'm using air quotes there because it's literally a frog sitting on a chair that casts magic. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, so in the Warhammer Fantasy takes that we're not going to upload, we did talk about how the winds of magic exist.
Yeah, I'm locked in, guys.
A lot of that magic became very unstable when demons arrived. Like, literally, magic erupted out of both poles.
Right.
And so winds of magic are all crazy and stuff. But this is all to say, in modern fantasy, there are 8 winds of magic, generally.
Right.
The Slan, yeah, who fucking cares? I can cast whatever I want.
It's their own thing.
I can use all the winds of magic. It doesn't matter. I know everything.
Right.
Meanwhile, a skink priest, who can also cast magic, might be able to only cast, like, 1 or 2 spells.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Look at
Look at him.
Look at them. They're just a vibe.
The Slan.
They're just me struggling with life,
Yeah, fair enough.
trying desperately to think.
They do have the vibe of what we talked about in another episode of, you have failed to wake up. Would you like to try again? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm good, man. I'm all right.
So we know, okay, so they were like well, they weren't the first life forms on, what did you say the world was called?
Malice.
Oh, yeah, right. Why do we keep doing this?
I'm pretty sure the planet name came from humans. That's the human name for the planet.
Right. If my theory of naming things and manifestation is correct, this isn't going to go well.
Technically, no, because, you know, dragons and giants and trolls and stuff existed before the old ones came. And those are like, you know, dragons are pretty...
Would the dragons not get along with the skinks because they're also like scaly, maybe? Or dragons are
if
just
it was a
doing
chaos
their
dragon, they would do everything to like get rid of it and kill it. But if it was like a normal dragon, they'd probably be like, what's up, man? You want to like chill?
You could maybe fit in here.
Well, in Age of Sigmar, which happens after the whole end times and the ending of fantasy, which that's a whole episode, and it's going to have me getting very upset, but that's okay. In Age of Sigmar, the way the Lizardmen get over to the new realms is because a giant star dragon like brings them over. It's a whole thing.
Like a lobster?
No, like a giant noodle, like Kita in the sky, and it really likes shiny things. And the Lizardmen came by and was like, what's up? Hey, who are you? And the Lizardmen were like, our world blew up. And he was like, oh, I feel really bad. Here, come with me. I'll bring you to a new place. And it brought them over to the new realms.
That's nice of him.
It's very nice of the dragon, frankly.
It's very kind.
It's very kind, this star dragon. It just likes shiny things.
No, I mean, you're a star dragon. What else?
But to talk about it is that in Age of Sigmar, they do have a very good relationship with the dragons.
Okay.
In fantasy,
So-
dragons are kind of doing their own thing.
We're talking here, what we've talked about today,
yes,
it's pre-Age of Sigmar.
Yes, we are at the birth of this planet, of the old world.
Right.
Yes. Age of Sigmar, you could say, is the sequel to Fantasy.
Okay.
We're in part 1, Age of Sigmar's part 2.
So this has been axed.
Yes. Warhammer Fantasy did not make a lot of money, especially after the Lord of the Rings films happened.
People didn't go around just buying
Lord Kroq.
Lord Kroq.
40K was selling gangbusters. It always has sold gangbusters.
Right.
Middle Earth, the strategy game, was selling like gangbusters.
Right.
And the Warhammer Fantasy was not selling all that well. So when Middle Earth started to not do very well, Games Workshop was like, well, we got to act something.
Mm-hmm.
Paint was selling better than Warhammer Fantasy.
Right.
And so they decided, well, end it. And I kind of get frustrated when Games Workshop acts like it was this grand plan and that was always the intention, because it wasn't. It really, really wasn't. And I feel really bad for the authors who had to wrap up this entire setting in like a couple books, because already Games Workshop authors are on like a hella time crunch.
Right.
Because these things have to come out.
Yeah.
So some factions in the end times, you get 3 sentences and then you're dead.
Well, I mean, at least it kind of got worked into the lore.
Yes, but...
So it's not like if this didn't happen. It's just that...
Yeah, the problem was either a lot of factions weren't mentioned.
Yeah.
Or it was just, oh yeah, that faction, your favorite faction? Yeah, they all died off screen.
My favorite faction, my favorite faction.
Yeah, they're all dead.
But I mean, that also, like, when you are telling a story, if you are, as a storytelling mechanism, telling a history, that's going to happen.
It was not satisfying.
But sometimes history isn't satisfying. I hear what you're saying. I just mean, like, good stories have unsatisfying moments.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't outright disagree. However, the end times is Game of Thrones Season 8.
There was no budget.
There was no time. All the emotions you had watching Game of Thrones Season 8, that's the end times. Where you're like, sometimes, wow, that's a really cool moment. But the rest of it is like, what the fuck? How did you get from there to here? You're teleporting. What the fuck? How? Wait, this guy is actually that guy? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Why are you two working together? You hate each other. What the fuck is happening?
No, I understand what you're saying. But I guess it's, again, it's nice that they didn't just go, that didn't happen, it's this now, like they did with Star Wars.
Oh, I totally agree.
Because, like, Star Wars, it's like they could have just taken the old canon and, like, worked with it.
Yes.
But no.
I need to be very clear. I really like Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And I like that it's a sequel to Fantasy, because I think that's really interesting. How do you tell a story where there's a bunch of characters walking around that lost? Their world is gone.
Yeah.
So having them like interact with this new place and trying to like not have that happen again, I think is really interesting. But I think the way it happened wasn't super well handled.
Right.
And I think a lot of that was the very sudden nature of, hey, this thing's dead. Get it out the door.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another example of
business versus
capitalism ruins art.
Like, there were people working on the next army book. This isn't verbatim, obviously. I'm exaggerating, but like, it's essentially people are in a room working on an army book going like, wow, this would be really cool. And like, what if we wrote this in to like develop the plot? Oh, wow, that's so great. Knock, knock. Hi, I'm Paul Marketing. The thing you're working on, it's fucking dead. Burn it. Burn it. It's over. We're on to a different thing. It's not making any money. Move on.
Yeah.
Hey, author, you have a month to write the end of this entire setting. Go.
Right.
Have fun. It's like, whoa, what's happening?
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
This kind of thing happens all over the place in the industry, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but it happened. I like fantasy. I still really like Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And they've even brought back the fantasy rules and stuff. Like, they ended fantasy, like the game, you couldn't play it. It wasn't getting updated at all.
Right.
But they have brought back fantasy, and like, they're calling it the old world now. And it takes place like a couple hundred or maybe even a couple thousand years before where most of fantasy takes place. Those kind of years. It takes place like before that.
The Sigmar year.
Before where most of the books take place.
Okay.
It's hard to describe. It's like they chose a time frame far enough back to where if they write anything, it's not going to interfere with the stuff that already exists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
My eyes keep going down to the script and I keep seeing the word kroq as gor-rok. And I'm like, yeah,
Lord
haha.
You could paint him like a gor-rok.
You could.
Yeah, he's got like the big
Or you could
mask.
just do the Ent people as like big fuck you gor-roks.
So, would you like to know the sort of faction timeline we're going to have.
Sure.
And viewers, don't hold me to this because plans can change. Our next fantasy episode will be delving into the character Valkia the Bloody. It was an episode voted on by our patrons. We're very excited for it. I can't wait. She is by far one of, if not my favorite character in Warhammer period. Across 40K, across fantasy. I love her. Oh my God, I can't wait. Our next faction we will be talking about in the next step of this grand story that we are exploring. We will be talking about the High Elves.
Oh, not the Low Elves. The little like design here on the top with the 2 dragons is very much giving me Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh my God, an entire Tears of the Kingdom vibe. Dude, Zonai Lizardmen, abso-fucking-lutely.
That would be very, very cool.
Yes, girl, yes.
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 Lizards are pretty simple. They're cool.
Yeah, even if they're wizard lizard.
Yeah, they are lizard wizards. It's true.
What if I made a little... Okay, I take that guy off the dino mount. Yeah, and then I make a little star fox.
the ship...
And I can give him the spear.
Oh, no. That would be cool.
Oh, you know, it would be good if you had this army. Before you like take them out of the box and put them on the like table in front of your enemy, you hand your enemy like a bowl of green Jello. The classic, or like a glass of water. It's such a good effect, like in movies and stuff.
It's very good.
What's gonna happen to the goat?
The Seraphon are going to eat it.
No! I'm a vegetarian.
Well, I'm sorry. They're not.
So you said that these are like some of your favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you think they're like well sculpted, or because you just like the ideas?
Both. I think they're gorgeous.
It's like they spared no expense.
Thank you again to Incogni for sponsoring this video. Remember to go to incogni.com/numbskulls for 60% off your purchase, or by using the link in the pinned comment.
Yeah, don't let me keep your information.
True.
Get it back. Freedom.
Favorite snack to eat while watching a movie? Popcorn.
Smart popcorn. This one.
What is your favorite fictional little guy / gremlin type character? Honestly, just any little freak. Kobold, goblin, Meowth. Just a little freak.
Like Pain and Panic come to mind.
Oh, we even talked about some in this episode, like skinks. Skinks are pretty freaky looking.
Skinks are
I
good.
love them.
Like Wormmon in Digimon. He's like, Master, do we have to kill the innocent?
Oh my God.
And then the Master's like, yes, you stupid piece of shit.
Oh my God. Leave Wormmon alone.
That's what, leave Wormmon alone, Ken.
What are your favorite classic horror movies? The Thing.
I find I like either like sci-fi or like religious horror. So like I really like The Exorcist or like Alien.
Alien's pretty sick.
But I mean, I enjoy like classic slashers like Halloween or Friday the 13th or like Jaws. I love Jaws.
When is Kita's birthday, and what should people get Kita as a present?
Oh, her birthday's coming up. It's September 4. If people want to draw pictures of her.
Oh, send them to our socials.
That would be really cute.
Yes.
Or draw pictures of Cheese Boys for her. I'll hold them up for her and she'll sniff them. But, I mean, mostly just send love. Send love and bleles.
Blele. Fuck, marry, kill. Admech Kita. Let me solo her. Nuclear Gandhi.
What the fuck kind of categories are these?
No idea.
What is Nuclear Gandhi?
Civilization, the game. Oftentimes Gandhi goes nuclear.
What do you mean? The guy?
Yeah.
That's exactly not what he does.
Well, in the game he does.
Okay, well, kill him. I never thought I'd say kill Gandhi. I guess I'm marrying
Kita,
and then I guess
obviously.
Let me solo her's name is adequate.
Hey.
Ayo.
Hey. How many times has Trazen tried to steal Screwdriver Kun?
I don't think he would want.
It's an artifact.
I
He
guess.
wants it. He's got to get through Kita, though.
It's true. She is the guard snake. And Alex.
True. Nothing get past him.
No, Alex is big and strong.
My hand dipped in 500-degree canola oil.